I suppose in some ways we have lost a vital part of the way we used to learn in earlier times. We don't have the Keshali anymore. We don't have a woodland person pouncing out on us and giving us a test or a trial and almost telling us they know about what we're going through. We don't have that. We just walk in woodland now and it's all beautiful and nice. We take the dog for a walk, or we just wander up and down looking at the trees and saying how beautiful it is no matter what season we're in. So yeah, we've lost something by losing our connection to the woodland folk, to the Keshali. Somebody who watches my videos called Johnny Lee asked me to talk about the Keshali. In other words, the woodland folk, the people who live in the woodlands and forests, the small people, the little people, the magical people. He also mentioned the fae. We used to call them the bittyfocky or the Keshali, or we would say the little man or the little woman who's by the specific kind of tree. I suppose our connection with them, which is what Johnny was asking about, is that we saw them as guardians of the woodland, of specific trees, specific areas in the wood that could reach out to you if you weren't careful and maybe suck you down into the lower world in order to teach you a lesson. Now, this is something we don't always think about. We don't always think or believe that woodland folk were there to teach us lessons. A lot of the time, we seem to think we can develop a connection with them that's based on sort of friendship and being buddies and and perhaps seeing them in a little more mild sort of manner than we might have done in previous times. But the Keshali are well known for teaching you lessons, for helping you to behave in a respectful way when you're in the woodlands or in the forest. But also this translates to how we behave with each other. They would probably, more than likely, mostly look down on humans as a sort of a little bit of an inferior kind of species. Oh, those humans, they don't know how to behave. They're a little bit, thick. They haven't got all the marbles upstairs that we've got. Remember that the Keshali are adept in using their wits and their senses. So they're not just there flying about with wings and, looking very attractive, very colourful, with colourful auras and throwing fairy dust all over the place. They are beings that are superior when it comes to using wits and senses. And that's why they could help to teach us lessons and help us to structure our lives with a bit of common sense. That's how I know them. And if you went into the wood with a problem, you might just be caught out by a member of a woodland clan who might want to take you aside and talk to you in their own language about what was going on for you. Now, when I say their own language, I mean their own behaviour. I mean their own way. It isn't quite a human way, because they tend to catch you unaware. They tend to pounce on you. They tend to even transport you to the lower world to teach you. And that means you'll go to a place where it's all weird, where you are maybe taken for a little ride until you learn a lesson. And if you learn all the lessons, then they leave you alone and they might just become your friends. They arrange themselves into different clans. The leaf people, the tree people, the gnomey dwarf people, the beautiful moon-like people, the humorous vine people, the tiniest unnoticeable people, the biggest, most obvious people, the dangerous, impatient and lethal people, the wise, most ancient and insightful people, the stone or rock people. The stone or rock people, yes, I'm sure they gave the stone builders a run for their money. And even Santa is likely to have begun life as a woodland person. There were ugly goblin-like people who we knew as gogs. The image of Gollum from Lord of the Rings reminds me of a gog. Along with the images we've developed of aliens, they're all very distorted versions of woodland folk in many ways. And this somehow reconnects us to what we might have found, well, quite normal in the past. Returning to Gollum, he's one of the river people who turned bad, and in my culture, it's more than possible to do this. It's possible to transform yourself because of an overwhelming thirst for power. You see, the point is, you wouldn't particularly go looking for the Keshali deliberately. There's no way you would do that. You have to come across them accidentally. So if you go looking for them, then they're going to give you some sort of test or trial that you probably won't want. And it's good to think about that and remember that, because it could be a little uncomfortable, to say the least, if you got tested and tried by the Keshali. Bear all this in mind, that when you are connecting with woodland folk, you don't have to be Romany. This is an age-old concept. You are putting yourself on the line for being taken under their wings, but not the fairy wings that we're talking about that give off fairy dust. Taken under their wings in the sense that they will take command of your situation, and they will help you to understand what's going on for you, but they won't always do it in the nicest possible way. So you can acquire lessons, you can acquire experiences that might teach you how to behave and how you must relate to the woodland and to the rest of life. Of course, one of the most interesting things in woodland folklore is the fact that when we talk about fairies with wings, we're possibly talking about dragonflies. Dragonflies are not only wonderfully magical creatures, they do look uncannily like fairies with wings. And who wouldn't want fairy dust being blown their way to give you luck? Maybe we need to take some walks in woodland and rethink what goes on for us when we're walking there. Maybe we need to reconnect with the woodland a bit more as the ancient people might have done, just so that we can connect with the Keshali in a little more of a realistic way, so that we're taking what we have into the woodland rather than leaving behind what we have and going into the woodland to have a nice time, have a leisurely time. Maybe we need to include the woodland in our quest for resolving problems and finding where we need to go. I think reconnecting with an old way, as we used to, could benefit us enormously. Now I'm being pulled along by the dog, so I bet he knows them. I bet he knows what they're all about. So bear that in mind, and I hope that helps to give you a little smidgen of what it's like to know the woodland folk or the Keshali, and to be wary and careful when you walk in the wood, especially if you have an unresolved problem which you are loath to put right. Thank you.